Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lucore Automotive, as we affectionately call it, the Church of Bad Decisions. Mea culpa, I have made another bad decision. And it's not my fault. It's not my fault, I promise. It's not my fault. But I made another bad decision. It is not currently on the alignment rack. It is currently sitting outside. I'm going to go get it and bring it in here. I have no idea why I bought this car. I have no need to own this car. I made another bad decision. In that regard, we also have some information about t-shirts coming soon. So, that's exciting. So, give me a minute. I'm going to go pull this car in and put it on the alignment rack. I'm such an idiot. Ta-da! This is my 2003 Pontiac Vibe GT. Not to be confused with Phil's 2003 Pontiac Vibe GT or Jim's 2003 Pontiac Vibe GT. This one's all mine. So why do I own this car? It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's really not my fault. I wasn't looking for a car. I wasn't shopping for a car. I already had my car, my 2023 2500 road trip car, my Volvo wagon. It's sitting outside. I'm ready to go for my road trip. Gonna do a couple things in the Volvo to get it ready to go, but otherwise I'm good to go. But there's a couple other guys that are, looking at going on the 2500 road trip, so they're looking around for cool cars that are under the $2,500, price tag. So, where they're going to do it, Craigslist was where I go shopping. These new kids these days shop on Facebook Marketplace, and they find things like this. There's Kevin sending me a text message about this posting on Facebook Marketplace for a 2003 Pontiac Vibe GT. Within an hour of that, here's Phil sending me the same posting on Facebook Marketplace about a 2003 Pontiac Vibe GT. I, of course, tell Kevin he should totally go buy this car because it's cool. And Kevin didn't buy it. And I told Kevin repeatedly that I was going to text him every half an hour to buy the car, and he refused to buy it. And I told him I would even buy it back from him once we're done with the car, with the road trip, and he still wouldn't go buy it. So I had to resort to plan B, and my good friends Phil and Jim, who both own 2003 Pontiac Vibe GTs, went and bought this one for me because I was stuck at work that day. And so now we have 3 of these. So what's the big deal about a Pontiac Vibe GT? Well, for most of you, nothing. Most people who know the Pontiac Vibe know of it as the little gutless commuter vehicle that your mom, your grandma, your granddad, your somebody else had, that wasn't necessarily a automotive person, that wasn't really looking for anything cool to drive. It's just a commuter car. Usually it's all-wheel drive. That is not this car. Specifically, this car also comes with this Fly body kit that came from GM. It also has body-colored molding. Typically speaking, the Pontiac Vibe GTs had black plastic cladding, and they didn't have the double wing. I got a wang and another wang. 2 wangs are better than 1 wang. Got a body kit all the way around, which is all there. Super excited. The other cool thing is 6-speed manual transmission. Yeah, that's right. Oh, and there's more.
But wait, there's more.
Yes. It's a 2ZZ, no shit! How about them apples? Now, most of you probably absolutely have no idea what a 2ZZ is. You know what a 2JZ is. This is kind of the little brother of that motor. 2ZZ from Toyota, not Pontiac, by the way. It does say Pontiac on the front. There's not really anything Pontiac in this entire car. But this was built and designed by Toyota. The headwork was done by Yamaha. It is a 1.8 liter four-cylinder that revs to 8,200 RPM from the factory. It has variable valve timing that kicks in at 6,700 RPMs. It is a high revving, screaming little monster. Essentially, if you want to think about it, it was kind of the motor that Toyota built to go up against the Honda Civic Si. They put this motor in the Vibe GTs, they put them in the Matrix XRSs, they put them in the Corolla XRSs. Unfortunately, the Corolla XRS didn't really sell that well. They didn't sell many of them at all. But it's a super cool car, and for the era in 2003, these things made pretty serious power for what they are. For a naturally aspirated four-cylinder, they made very good power. And then on top of that, Lotus, who was at the time using a whole lot of Toyota power plants, took this exact same motor, put a supercharger on it, and stuck it in their Lotus vehicles with a supercharger on it. It's an 11-to-1 compression motor that revs to 8,200 RPMs from the factory. It's got forged rods, hyper-eutectic pistons. It's got a variable valve train geometry that actually works out really, really well. It is really high up in the rev range, so a lot of people never even get there. But when it gets there, it really it wakes up, makes some cool noises, and gives you that VTEC yo, you know, when you get thrown in the back seat. Pretty freaking cool vehicle. Now, this is honestly the first time I have opened the hood on this car. I just got it. I haven't changed the oil. I haven't checked the oil. I haven't checked anything. I haven't touched anything. I drove it from my house to the shop. So you guys are seeing it for the first time with me. We are missing the engine shroud. There's supposed to be a big plasticky thing that sits over this. Some exposed wiring and some electrical tape. So that's less than optimal. It's clearly been parked underneath a pine tree for a decent amount of its life. They're all over the windshield wipers and the cowl. So, you know, that's no big deal. But it doesn't seem to be leaking anything, which is good. As far as what I can see, it does have functional air conditioning, which is interesting because I don't own a car with functional air conditioning. This is also, technically speaking, the newest vehicle I own of all of the vehicles that I have. This is the only one with functional air conditioning and is the youngest car and is still 20 years old. I do love me some classics though. This does look like it has coil packs that have been replaced. They don't say Toyota on them, and they are rather shiny, so I'm guessing somebody's probably been in here. Now we can talk about the fact that this car does have 250,000 miles on it. Honestly, right at 250,000 miles, which is a lot of miles. But these motors are pretty damn indestructible because this is the period where Toyota just built things that never died. It is a timing chain motor. Yeah, there may be a little bit of slop in the timing chain. I'll start it up here for you in a moment. I have no idea how much oil's in it. We should probably check that. Yeah, let's check that. Dead on the stick. Looks like brand new oil too, so somebody did an oil change right before they sold the car. I don't know the story to this vehicle, to be honest. It was sold on Facebook Marketplace by somebody who I believe just picked the vehicle up, probably from the owner who had it before, who just got tired of doing repairs and things with it. It has some questionable repairs, like there's some caulking, like clear caulking, up here and over on the driver's or on the passenger side above the window. It's been raining buckets today, and I can tell you that that does not seal my windshield. So it is raining on the inside of the car, which is, you know, a minor problem, but we'll just put some more caulking on there probably. Would you look at that body kit though? Man, you know, this was a great era of vehicles. I'll be honest with you, I am going to keep this car. I was thinking about maybe not keeping it, but I am going to end up keeping this car. And it's going to go probably very fast and furious. I love this era of vehicles. The early 2000s was so fun. We had a lot of fun with really cool vehicles that weren't stupidly fast. This made like 180 horsepower from the factory, which was pretty quick. But you got to realize in the early 2000s, like, we hadn't gotten into the Turbo LS stuff and all of the tuning stuff that we have now. None of that was really a thing. So you were really like, you had some really fun cars that were fast, but they weren't, you know, anywhere near what we have now. This thing's underpowered for a minivan nowadays. But it's super fun, and it looks, I mean, it looks cool, man. It's got a crack on the body kit on this side. It's got a crack on the front lip, on the front spoiler down there that we can probably fix. I'm gonna reach out to one of our body guys that's local and see if he can do a little fixie for me on that. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with it. There's not really any rust anywhere on the car. There's one little tiny dent right there, but I mean, it's a quarter of a million mile car that I can just drive. Dual wangs, better than a single wang. One thing you may notice is there's a hole here where there's usually a fuel door, right? It looks like somebody got a little aggressive, and there's some pieces of metal here where the fuel door is supposed to sit over this. I don't know if maybe the release got stuck or whatever the case may be. Maybe they ran into something or had it pop, who knows. But there's no fuel door here. But, ta-da! There's a fuel door. It was in the glove box. And you could see where it was broken off there. We'll see how we fix that. Probably rich. But, most importantly with the fuel door is not necessarily the fuel door, it's this little sticker right here. This is premium unleaded fuel only. Can you read that? I don't know about you, but a lot of vehicles that are in the aftermarket that are second, fourth, fifth, sixth, you know, hand, most people who own a cheap, crappy car are not willing to put expensive gas in it. This engine being an 11-to-1 compression motor does not like cheap, crappy gas. So I am slightly concerned with the amount of mileage that's on this motor and the fact that it has to run on premium, that there may be a less than optimal engine underneath the hood. There's possibility of damage, some detonation, that kind of thing. This was the generation where, you know, you can get some knock control and pull timing out, and it can protect itself a bit, but components that are designed to run on good fuel really don't like running on bad fuel. So that is concerning to me. We'll see. Anyway, want to hear what this thing sounded like when I start up? You can hear a little bit of a sound from this general area over here, which is definitely rotational. Might be a pulley, might be a bearing, could be a timing chain. It does have a little bit of a rattly startup when it's been sitting. It does have 250,000 miles on it, so I don't know. There's of course no maintenance information or records that comes with this car. So how old that timing chain is, it's probably the original one, is anybody's guess. Probably make it 2,500 miles, right? Let's hear some factory exhaust sounds too, shall we? Doesn't sound too bad. It is a little odoriferous. I'll take you on the inside. How about that? It's even got a Vibe cover in the back. So, obviously a four-door vehicle. The seats actually lay down and go flush with the back deck, which is cool. We've got jumper cables in the back, which is always a good sign. I've got half of my scissor jack. There is actually a spare in the back, but plenty of usable space. I dare say I probably could even sleep in the back of this thing if I had to. Got more evidence of pine needles and pine trees. And yeah, it was definitely parked under a pine tree for quite a while. Back seats, interior, super good shape. You would never think this car has 250,000 miles on it. I mean, not a single rip in the fabric. Floors are good. The tint's got quite a lot of scratching and you know, hazing in it. But this tint is, you know, who God only knows how long this has been on here. It definitely improves the look of the car with tint on it. Not much in the front, but it's a decent tint. We may get that redone. We'll see. You can see on the front one here, there's a little piece there where it's broken, but you know, it is what it is. It's got the channels, which we, you know, thought were cool at one point in time. This one's broken, but everything else is good. Inside, here we are. She's in good shape. I dare say excellent shape for what she is. How about them ankles? The seats are actually incredibly comfortable. Clutch, like on all of these things, has to be absolutely on the floor before it'll start. There we are with 249,909 miles. It fires right up. How about them apples? Stereo does work. However, our readout there does not. We don't have lights here. Our shift knob is custom. And you may notice there is a check engine light on, which did pop on my way to the shop this morning. So let's scan that real quick and see what's going on there. Hopefully it's nothing catastrophic. Well, let me grab my scanner and we'll see. Just purring away like a kitten. Alright, we are a Pontiac automatic ID. (2003) Vibe. My motor code is L, which is the 2ZZ. And let's check our engine lights. Code menu, display codes. Current codes. Catalyst efficiency, low, bank 1. Okay, so, could be two main things usually. Either a cat is plugged or just disgusting, or non-functional, or we have a major exhaust leak. I don't feel like that's the case because it doesn't sound like it has an exhaust leak. Or we have an O2 sensor that's bad, which is possible. But normally we would see some sort of other O2 sensor code. But it is a P0420. So we're gonna see. Now, as I said, this does have probably got crappy gas in it. Probably has not been that very well maintained. So we'll see. I haven't really gotten out and ragged on this thing either. That's always a question as far as, you know, is it gonna kick into VVTi or not? VVTi on these vehicles, just like with Honda, can throw all kinds of different problems, so I don't know whether or not the VVTi actually works in this car or not. I'm gonna need to get it out of the road to do that. So, yeah, let's go for a quick test drive, shall we? Like a lot of cars, there are always quirks with some of these things. One of them that's funny is when you put this car in reverse, it backs up to let you know that you are indeed in reverse. Which is funny, because it doesn't beep outside to let people know that you're in reverse. But the gating on this transmission is pretty close between first and reverse. So, you know, maybe it's to denote, hey, by the way, you're in reverse, don't drive into the person behind you. Well, I was gonna go on a quick little test drive, but Rich decided to lock the gate. Thanks, Rich. So we are up to temperature here, just so nobody's worried about me ragging on this car before it's had a chance to warm up. All right, so let's go ahead and make a pull. All right, VVTi definitely did not kick in. She moves all right through the rev range though, but we did not get our VVTi. Normally it's burp, and there was no burp. So we got to figure out why that is. That could be a number of different things. We're gonna have to do some homework on that. But let's see if we've got any telemetry data as far as if it threw a code as to why. All right, so we do have a tachometer circuit low voltage, which is interesting. That was not something I expected to see. So let's see what P1693 means. Come on, dude. Honestly, acceleration's pretty good, to be very honest with you. It'll move out pretty well. With VVTi not working, it doesn't really affect you until you get really high up in the rev range. I think I mentioned it earlier, a lot of people don't even realize that it has that because it's so high up in the rev range. Most people never drive their, you know, commuter cars up to 6,700 RPMs or higher. So, you know, it's very possibly something that has been overlooked by a previous owner or owners, or it's also possible that that other previous owner or owners knows that I have bought myself a ticking time bomb and something expensive is about to go pop. You know, both are options. Now that we're back in the shop, my little handy-dandy snap-on thing can connect to our network. And if I click on this P1693 tachometer circuit voltage low, my three most common fixes are battery, headlight bulb, or variable valve timing controller. My bet is probably going to be on the variable valve timing controller. Because my headlight bulbs both work, and its charging system seems to be working fine. So, variable valve time controller, you know, hey, I gotta have something to do on this car. I can't just buy something and it just work. That would be boring. So there you go, folks. There is my new, to me, bad decision. A 2003 Pontiac Vibe GT. Just a 250,000 mile little rocket. Gonna be tons of fun. I'm super excited about it. Hopefully you guys are excited about it as well. As I said earlier, we now have 3 of these things between me and my good buddies Phil and Jim. Didn't show you Jim's, but he actually ended up picking up a white one that needed a clutch. I think he's just shy. He's like 230,000 miles on his, 240,000 miles on his. So we put a clutch in that, but otherwise that thing's fine. That's actually going to be over on his Instagram channel. I don't think I've talked him quite into doing the YouTube thing yet, maybe. But he's going to be No Sleeves Garage. At least he is on there. He might be on here at some point in time. And he's coming along with us on the 2500 road trip this year. Jim is the bald gentleman that came with me on the Hot Rod Power Tour this past summer that a lot of you saw drive the yellow Pontiac. So anyway, there you go. There's my new purchase, my new bad decision. I'm excited about it. It's going to be fun. As long as there's not anything catastrophically wrong with that motor. As long as it doesn't need a timing set, which it probably does. I'm into the car at a good number. I've got some playroom as far as cost-wise on doing stuff to keep it under the $2,500. That's the spiel, by the way, if I haven't mentioned that. $2,500 car is going 2,500 miles. So between buying it and fixing the things you need to fix, without including safety, like brakes and tires, you need to be in it for $2,500 thereabouts. Now, we're going to kind of fudge that number just a little bit this year because the price of used cars is stupid still. So, you know, it's going to be cheap car, long road trip. These wheels are pretty beat. They're notorious for flaking off. The silver paint is horrible. So I may figure that out. It does have a set of Kelly tires on it that are, I think, 205, 20... Yeah, 205, 55, 16s. They're actually excellent, I'll be honest. I don't know that I've ever had a car with Kelly tires, but it drives great. Drove it in the rain and it drives great. So I may end up putting another set of tires on it if I could find some 5x100 bolt pattern plus 38 offset wheels to be able to just swap these tires over onto something that looks a little bit more attractive. And I will be obviously modifying this thing because it's me. And we've talked about doing kind of a high car, low car challenge kind of thing where you do a budget build and you do a not so budget build. You know, let Jim do his budget build and let me do my probably less budget build. And the nice thing is we have Phil's car, which has gone on the last 2 trips with us, that's already got a ton of work done. It's already got a header on it. It's got a high flow cat on it. It's already got coilovers on it. It's already got wheels and tires on it. It's got an intake on it. That car is actually really, really fun to drive. It's a really cool looking car also. So I think it would be fun to make a build series of these things. Now, you know, it's stupid to do that, but it might be cool, right? I'm happy about it. This is how bad decisions happen. Thanks, guys, for sending me your Facebook Marketplace stuff. Anyway, last bit of business I want to talk about is the Church of Bad Decisions shirts. We are working with Gina Rose, same wonderful lady that does the shirts for Old Man's Garage and Street Racing Channel and Gen 2 Garage. She has been whipping up some designs for us, and we are going to be doing the first shirt we're going to make for Lucore Automotive and the Church of Bad Decisions is going to be our Church of Bad Decisions shirt. And I will give you a teaser as of right now what these look like. Here you go. So that is what we're looking at. Front, going to be super simple. It's going to have our Lucore logo on it on a pocketed breast pocket. We're going to make sure that they're long enough so when you're doing the mechanic lean, you don't show off some crack. And then on the back, it's going to have that. Welcome to the Church of Bad Decisions. There you go. So we're going to run these shirts here in the next month or so. We're going to actually have our website up for being able to purchase these things. For the first 6 months, we're going to have the founding member blaze on the bottom. So if you buy your shirt within the first 6 months, you're going to be a founding member. And then after that, we're going to change that blaze on the bottom to just member. And then we've got a bunch of other stuff that's going to be coming out as well because a bunch of you folks have asked for gear of ours, which still feels weird, but if you guys are asking for it, we're willing to do it. So there's our first design. Super excited about it. Huge thank you to Gina Rose for being able to kind of squeeze us into your production schedule to get this ball rolling for us. We're really, really excited about 2023. It's going to be a heck of a year. We got all kinds of cool stuff coming. There's a bunch of stuff to talk about on the AMX side of things. We'll talk about that in a future episode. But there's a lot of things we want to talk about, and we'll talk about that soon. So there you go, guys. I appreciate you guys being here. Let me know what you think about my little 2003 Pontiac 5 GT. Ain't she a looker? And it's going to have neons on her, and oh man, we're going so fast and furious. It's going to be amazing. I'm excited. Like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of jazz. Thanks for being here at Lucore Automotive, folks. We're really glad to have you. 2023 is off to an interesting start already, and we're going to make it a hell of a good year. So we'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care.